Marvel fans, comic geeks, and all nerds in between. My name is Megan, and I am here to talk about X-Men 97 Season 2, Episode 7, titled Strange Land and Savage Heart. Also, welcome to all my new followers that I met at San Diego Comic-Con. Very happy to have you all here. I hope you enjoy it. So, I take a couple issues with this episode, but at the end of the day, I'm a very simple woman. If you make Nightcrawler the main focus and have him running the show, I am more than happy. I knew it was going to be a heavy episode, though, when the intro showed that brief moment right before Mystique tosses our baby blue elf off the cliff. To be honest, if you ever questioned if she was a good mom, she's not. So, yeah, I knew it would have something to do with that, and I am happy with how it went for the most part. But I will get into my grievances in this episode. For the most part, Episode 7 of X-Men 97 Season 2 is basically one long courtroom argument. Nightcrawler, the team's resident cinnamon roll and moral compass, ends up defending the life of a mutant-hating loudmouth Graydon Creed, who is also his half-brother. In a trial ran by the Acolytes, a group of Magneto superfans who treat him like he's the next mutant messiah. Somehow, the episode also remembers it's a superhero cartoon. So it wraps up in the only logical way. Lasers flying, heroes riding dinosaurs, beasts flattening bad guys with perfectly timed sound effects, cats and dogs living together. Cinema. But that's the magic of the X-Men. They can go from deep philosophical debates about justice and forgiveness to dinosaur cavalry charges without breaking a sweat. It's what I've always appreciated about them. Strange Land, Savage Heart might be the best example yet of everything that makes Marvel's Merry Mutants so perfectly weird. It juggles giant, goofy action, tangled family drama, shifting loyalties, and the series' biggest moral questions, all in the Savage Land, because every serious discussion is better when there's a T-Rex lurking in the background. So, in short, X-Men are a supercharged soap opera, and I think we all appreciate that about them. Plot-wise, the episode kind of shrugs at last week's cliffhangers. Sure, Val Cooper gives Xavier grief over X-Corp, and the post-credit scene has X-Force finding Apocalypse's charred body alongside one suspiciously dramatic playing card. I think we all know where we're going. But the real focus is Nightcrawler, Rogue, Polaris, Bishop, and Beast heading to rescue Graydon Creed after the Acolytes kidnapped him. So I have two things I want to mention. One, Beast, why are you in this season? He's just here for a good time, and it's pretty clear. I want to see him utilized more, but at the same time, it's like, do your thing, chicken wing. If you just want to hang out, that's fine. The other thing I have to mention, I don't think Polaris and Bishop were an item in the comics. I could be wrong. Maybe there was some flirtation at some point, or it was hinted at. Someone let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure they never were a thing. But dang it, I'm pulling for them. They're cute, they're damaged, they would make some really powerful and adorable mutant babies, and that's all I ask for. With Fabian Cortez long gone after getting absolutely wrecked in X-Men the Animated Series, Exodus has taken over the Acolytes. Like Creed, he loves rapping hatred in religious language, but he just aims it in a different direction. The biggest surprise is seeing former X-Man Colossus among their ranks. I found it interesting to have Colossus in the Acolytes because of Illyana's death, because in the comics, Illyana dies from the legacy virus, and that's when he joins the Acolytes. So his reasoning for joining is comic accurate, just not in the details. I do wish the show would have used the legacy virus for a season. That would have been a wild season. Sad one, don't get me wrong, very sad, but wild. Anyways, still grieving the loss of his sister Illyana, he's reached the same heartbreaking crossroads that Polaris faced in the last episode. How do you make peace with people who keep trying to wipe you out? After Genosha's destruction and Illyana's death, Colossus has decided peace only comes once the oppressors are gone for good. To be honest, a lot of the X-Men get where he's coming from, though. Polaris and Bishop most certainly do. And even Rogue struggles to argue against it, even if Creed happens to be the son of Sabretooth and Mystique, the woman who raised her. Nightcrawler, who is also Mystique's son, is the lone holdout. Guided by his faith, he refuses to believe execution is the answer. Instead, he talks the Acolytes into holding an actual trial. Nightcrawler defends Creed, Exodus prosecutes, and Colossus somehow gets promoted to judge. Because if you're grieving and emotionally conflicted, obviously you should preside over a capital case. Obviously. What makes the episode so compelling is that Exodus isn't exactly wrong. Great Creed wants mutants exterminated, and more people keep buying into that message. The character debuted in 1992 with the Friends of Humanity, and he has kept that vibe up this entire time. He's against the mutants, even though he was birthed from two. But to be fair, they are the worst of the worst. And Creed's rhetoric feels disturbingly familiar. Instead of sounding like a fringe lunatic, he sounds like people who actually hold power, making his words feel less like comic book nonsense and more like a real threat. That's why Exodus's case hits as hard as it does. Creed is completely unapologetic, even while standing trial, and plenty of people would argue that killing him would save lives. Yet Nightcrawler somehow makes the harder argument feel like the heroic one. He cuts through the convoluted X-Men family tree with something much simpler: shared humanity. Creed is his brother, and Nightcrawler refuses to let hate erase that bond, no matter how much Creed wants it to. And Creed wants it too. Creed wants nothing to do with his bloodline, and it makes sense. If you were bred from such hatred from the mutants, not saying he has a reason to be so hateful, but I think he holds on to that hatred and uses it to motivate him to continue this hate campaign. To the episode's credit, it doesn't pretend there's an easy answer. Nightcrawler saves Creed, but their final exchange makes it clear that his mercy is held together entirely by faith. And even that faith is starting to crack. It's messy, complicated, and exactly the kind of moral gray area the X-Men do best. There's the constant idea of, should we forgive the hatred and rise above it? Should we do something about it? It's all gray all around. And there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer, because no matter which way you look at it, there's no way to solve the problem in its entirety. But I also have to say, the ending is where I take issue with. If you're unfamiliar with Exodus's game, just know that the X-Men would have had a much harder time taking him down, if they could at all. Exodus is an Omega level mutant who is wildly powerful, and this just shouldn't have been how it ended for him, if it is in fact how it ends for him. You mean to tell me Great Creed shot him and it's over? No, like, to put it in perspective, Exodus could have been a whole season's villain. He is that powerful. He could have easily replaced Apocalypse as a villain. Like, it's, I don't know. I guess on the same vein, I'm surprised we even got Exodus, because it's not a really mainstream character in the slightest bit. Like, not at all. So I guess that's my biggest issue, is that Exodus was done dirty in this episode, and I think it could have been much better. But also, we could have just not got him at all, and I don't know, maybe I'm just being nitpicky, I don't know. But we're set up to see our boy Gambit come back in the next episode, so there's that. And for some people I've seen some people ask or say, like, oh, so Gambit's just a bad guy from now on. And that's not really how it goes. But I do have an episode that talks all about Apocalypse and his horsemen, how many characters have been his horsemen, and how none of them are horsemen for life. So, yeah, check that out. Learn something there, and I hope you really enjoy it. So, with that being said, this was my episode. This was my review for X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 7. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll like and subscribe, and I hope you have a marvelous day.